Hey, hey, everybody needs someone to lean on. Gotta get up, don't wanna be the one they sleep on. Hey, everybody wanna get the green on. Wanna get but you gotta get up. Hey, you gotta get up. Never put your head down, you gotta live up. You gotta get up. So you gotta get up. You can't sit down. Best out. Show 'em what you all about, can't rest now. Show 'em you got all the clout when you step out. Hey, send you the best out. Show 'em what you all about, so fresh out. Fresh to death without a doubt when you step out. Hey, said I'm a flex now, gon' do my reps now. It's time to go, got a march, get set now. I got a family in the gang, I can't let down. Turn the bullet, drop top in the rain, diamonds wet now. Gotta put some knowledge in your brain, want a pocket full of change. You don't gotta be the same.
What's going on, guys? You're tuning into the Cause and Effect podcast. I'm your host, Chico, accompanied by Ralphie.
Yeah,
and today we have a guest, community activist Jordan, joining with us today. And, you know, he has something big going on in Paterson, New Jersey. We want to highlight and let him take it away, introduce himself, and give the audience a little bit about your background and how you got started with the Unity movement.
What's up, y'all? My name is Jordan. Some people call me Jordan. Some people call me True Knowledge, True, right. King Unity, Arula Mott, Bless. Like, I got a million different names. But, you know, I've been consumed by my conditions in my community, man. The poverty, the inequalities, the injustices, you know, the oppression, and just being a victim of it all, you know. Growing up in these inner city communities and these conditions in America, you're taught to kind of hate yourself, hate your complexion, hate your images, you know, your features and things of that nature. And you grow up not only hating yourselves, but hating everybody that look just like you. So it's like we got to try our best to emancipate ourselves or liberate our minds to think different and empower ourselves and empower everybody else around us. So how I got started actually with this movement, first and foremost, I always was a good dude, always had great energy, was always respectful. But somewhere in life, man, I kind of got to a dark place to where I ended up being in the streets and you know, almost lost my life. You know, was a victim of violence / victimizer. You know, got to take ownership for certain things you go through, and just watching my mother, man, because, you know, we don't have no nurses. She had to clean my wounds every day, and she was traumatized by that situation, man. Just looking at her, man, it put a dent in my heart, man.
So going back before you, so pretty much what led you into creating what we call now the Unity movement is you had an incident then?
Exactly.
So you
when
had
I was 19.
When you was 19,
okay.
You had a small incident. Okay. So you was pretty much, like you said, you pretty much involved in the
streets.
In the streets.
Yeah.
And then one thing to another, and then.
Yeah, and you know, almost lost my life, man. You know, got a lot of scars on my body that I can't erase. You know what I mean? We can't put no Band-Aid on it or nothing like that. You know, it's just gonna be there. But these scars, it's a learning experience, man. And you know, and it wasn't as simple as, oh, you got into a life or death situation and now you were Christian or Muslim or nah. You know, it took time. It took, you know, because obviously my first reaction is somebody got to go. Like, you know, we ain't getting scars and scratches for no reason. You know, this ain't going to go in vain, or, you know, that's the immediate mindset. Like,
retaliation.
You're going to have to kill, you know what I mean? Like, listen, because I couldn't walk for a couple of months.
And your mother had to take care of you too, right?
My mother had to take care of me that whole time, man. She was just distraught. Like, you know,
I don't think no mother wants to see their child. No parent wants to see their child. Like.
And you know, growing up in the inner city communities, man, you know, that 3 o'clock in the morning call, man, you know, she thought I was dead. You know, so it's like, you know, she's still traumatized by that. I'm 24 now. Like, you know, she called me a million times a day, like, try to make sure I'm good. You know, so it's something that, you know, she lives on with forever, man. It makes me think deeply about the mothers that actually lost their kids. You know, like, what are they going through? Shit, I ain't even dead, and my mom be going crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so it put a lot of things in perspective for me, man. It just made me, like, yo, I don't even care about no revenge. I don't care about none of that. I just want to do right by my mother because she don't deserve that, you know. No mother deserves that. But that's what we're subjected to in these inner city communities and the circumstances and the predicament that we are given and the cause that we are dealt.
that's powerful. You know that you mentioned that because you know a lot of us take the cards that we're dealt and never really look at the hand and say, yo, there has to be something else than these cards. You know, like you said, you were involved in the streets. You still are, but in a different way now. You know, so now you're involved in the streets and you're moving the community in a positive direction. And some people will look at that and say, yeah, that's corny, that's cheesy. But at the end of the day, that's what they want us to say about those things so we can keep going back to the things that keep us looking crazy in a cycle of life of you're either killing somebody, getting killed, or going in jail, right? And you're feeding a system that's very lucrative through that. Like, we got to look at the things that positive role models like Nipsey Hussle was talking about. You know, the jails have stocks. Like, you can invest stock into the jail. Like, it's a business.
Part of the economy.
It's a business. You know what I
It's the
mean?
new slave trade, I believe.
New
Like,
Jim Crow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to look at it.
Jim Crow.
You know, they say that everything phases out and phases into something else. So
Evolution of oppression.
absolutely, like
Yeah,
when racism
that-
wasn't legal anymore.
That's the best way for you to put it.
Absolutely, like when racism wasn't legal anymore, then what happened? They started creating systems to keep people, and then it was more like, all right, how can we monetize from it? And then it's just not black communities; it's Hispanics, it's
Word.
other communities,
Minorities,
minorities,
minority,
exactly,
this
that
place is
are
still minority as
affected
well,
by this. Yeah, and
But
then,
primarily us.
yeah.
We are the targeted. We are the
1,000%. We buy
Well,
into a lot of the
yeah.
things. We buy into a lot of that stuff because we're deprived from a lot of things. But nowadays
Yeah.
we have something called the internet. You know, so you guys were able to do, you know, community calls online and get, you know, the boroughs together and get people to come by and people that you just would never imagine yourself hanging with, right?
Word.
Like you probably have friends now that you probably would have never thought you call friend.
Bro, like the dopest thing is like the unity movement, the unity foundation, the family that we've built are complete strangers, bro. Like, I can't really name a lot of people that hung out with each other before this. We've been like the brothers and the sisters. Like, you know, we meet once every month at the first Sunday of every month, and the sisters are with us a lot too. But mostly like the brothers, like we've been chilling every weekend for 2 months, and some of us almost every day. Like, it's crazy. Like, we're complete strangers, but we became a family, man.
Because
like
you have the
real
same goal,
same
unity, the
goals,
same
man.
vision.
And a lot of us been through a lot of trauma, man. And we're just, and it's beautiful, man, to have a lot of people with a lot of trauma in the same room, thinking positively, thinking clearly, thinking beautiful, and just
Sharing
thinking
ideas.
progressive. Yeah, sharing ideas.
I think that's very important. I don't think we do that enough. I think we took it up in our own little bubble.
Word.
And especially when you are in the streets, because I can't say we, because I'm not. I mean, I used to when I was younger, but then I wasn't so involved. I was like Drake. I used to just come around. I used to just come around.
Sounds like
hang
Drake.
around and everything. But then you know. But I have an idea of what it's like. Like, I've seen many things myself, and it's like a lot of people tend to keep themselves in the little bubble. They don't want to share with one another. It's crazy because in the streets you have so many quote unquote boys, but you don't bother to share your thoughts or whatever it is that you might have that might have traumatized you or whatever the case is. And then you having that group of friends, those group of people, you know, and you guys are open about it. I think that's what makes you guys a little bit more closer and more united.
And you just hit on something deep, that a lot of us that's living in these inner city communities, in these streets, are traumatized. But society doesn't label it as a mental health issue.
At all.
Or PTSD or anything like
pretty
that.
much what it is.
like,
You got to go to the army. You got to go to war to be. But there's a war
The
going
streets
on
are
here. Like,
Yo, it's
the streets
traumatizing.
are the war zone.
These kids are really traumatized.
Yeah.
And a lot of their actions aren't just because they're bad or
No.
because they want to be non-compliant or disregard all directives. It's because they're really traumatized and they're affected, and it's now a mental disability, and it's a mental health issue because they've seen dead bodies, they've seen crackheads leaning, they've seen dirt all over the floor, garbage everywhere. They living in filth. They living in the trenches, you know, and it's crazy because nobody should live like that.
At all. And the thing about it is that in many cases they don't feel loved. You know, their parents are probably never home, and if they're home, they're probably screaming
Role
at them all
models.
the time. They don't have no role models. The role models is in the corner because that's all they see. You know what I mean? All they see is people in the streets running around doing all types of nonsense. And if, you know, you come outside and one of your friends tell you, hey, let's go rob this car, or let's go jump this person, that's your friend. Might as well go ahead and do it. That's all you know.
And
Well,
before we go further, too, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
brother. Rest in peace, brother Evante, man. That's my little bro,
Rest
man.
in peace. Rest
You
in
know,
peace.
he got killed a couple weeks ago and everything like that, man. It was
That was the reason
definitely-
why you couldn't come last time either. Right? 'Cause
Exactly. Word.
that had
word.
to happen,
We was at the
and
funeral, man.
my
It was
condolences,
tough,
man.
man. We got all, Unity Foundation got all the students hoodies and in memory of Evante, man. A kid where he was like 1 foot in and 1 foot out, man, and he just wanted to be loved, man. Whoever would have gave him the most love on either side, he would have went that way. And at the time, I just felt like I didn't have enough resources to give him, man. And all he wanted was a hoodie, man. I actually bought a hoodie for him, and he got suspended like 2 days before Unity Day. We did a big Unity Day at the high school. I work at Great Falls Academy. Shout out to Zatidi, Moody, Humphrey, and the entire Great Falls
Moody, man.
Great Falls staff. Collins that's spearheading a lot of things for Unity Foundation right now. He also loved Evante, but yeah, man, he got suspended 2 days before the Unity Day, so he didn't get his hoodie, and he used to always be like, "Yo, Jordan, like, where my hoodie at?" And the day he actually died, got killed, I seen him, and the first thing he said was, "Yo, Jordan, where my Unity hoodie at, man?" So, in his memory, we got all those students a Unity hoodie, and we gave his grandmother one for him also, man. So, all love and blessings to my brother, and with what happened to him, I make a vow, man, to try my best, man, to win those battles, man, because a lot of the kids that we have, a lot of times they got 2 feet in. He had 1 foot in and 1 foot out, man. And when you in that type of situation, you got to win that battle, man, especially when the kids just want to be loved. At 17, because at 17, a lot of them are institutionalized and indoctrinated way past where you could really get to them. You could try your best, but some of them just like, listen, I just met you yesterday, son. I've been living this life for 17 years. Like, what you gonna tell me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd have to be a drastic changer. You'd have to do something crazy. But when you have 17-year-olds to where they're kind of listening to you and they kind of want to be a part of what you're talking about and they want a way out, we can't lose those battles, man. We got to try our best to gather our resources around them and create a family around them and swarm them, man, and give them that love that they're looking for and that culture and just them wanting to be a part of something. We got to build that foundation for them. So rest in peace, my brother. And, we're going to do everything we do for Unity in your honor and in your name, my brother.
Amen
Peace,
to that, man. Rest in peace, man. And when things like that happen, man, like I have to ask you this. You said, you gotta win these battles. Like how, you fighting to keep those senseless moments of violence from happening, as much as you can. When those things happen and they're close to home, how does it affect, your motivation towards keep going? Because some people would probably be like, damn, this isn't working, right? Like, I give up. How does it keep you going? Like, obviously it's shown that it puts more fire for you to keep going and make sure that doesn't continue. But how what's the conversation in your mind, like when you're by yourself thinking, damn, am I really gonna make a difference, or how do I, how did this happen, et cetera, et cetera?
So basically, this is how I started the movement in the first place, based on violence, and me being subjected to violence. So my initial goal is to make sure no other mother go through what my mother went through, because I feel like that's not fair to any mother, especially how hard they work. In Evante's situation, God bless him and God bless his mother. His mother actually died, so
Wow.
His mom passed away, a couple years back. So I'm gonna say his grandmother, right? The goal is to make sure his grandmother don't go through the same thing my mother went through, and even my grandmother, because my grandmother went through things with her son, and my grandmother used to pick me up all the time, like, kind of say like, yo, man, I basically don't want you to be like your dad, like crying to me, like, crying to me in the car, like, yo, man, I want you to be better. I want you to do something with yourself. And then my grandmother on my mother's side went through the same thing with her son, where he in and out of jail, and, he getting into certain things. He got scars on his face, shootouts, and all type of things like that. And, my grandmother went through trying to bail him out, put up the house, put up everything, man, put up everything she had just to keep him out of jail and stuff like that. And, the cycle kind of continues, man. So it hurts a lot, Because, you know, I felt like I dropped the ball. Everybody be like, no, Jordan, don't say that. You ain't dropped the ball. You be working hard. You really doing it. Everybody on the sideline. But it ain't about that, man. We got to win, bro. We got to win. We can't take no L's right now. We can't afford no L's. We can't afford no more lives lost. You get me? So, yeah, we dropped the ball on that. We could have saved that kid, you know? We could have saved him. I don't care what nobody talking about. We should have came together as a community and gathered around him. You know, I went to meetings for that kid.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, that's on us. I don't care what nobody say. And we can't lose no more battles based on what just happened, period.
Yeah.
Grandmother. So, was that... So, his mother, was that his mother? Her daughter and her grandson. Like, I understand you being devastated about that, but I could just imagine about her, like, from her perspective, you know? Like, she tried with one child, and boom, that happened. And now she tried her best to take care of this one, and boom, that happened. Like, that to me just blew my mind. How often you think that happens in the hood? Like, do you really think that happens as often, or is that one of those rare cases? Like, wow.
Well, I'm not like with his mom. I'm not sure 100% how she died. I think it was cancer, right?
Nonetheless, those. I mean,
But it's the same though. Still,
it's
it's
a loss.
two losses really. But yeah, that happens a lot. I feel like it's normalized in our community where you have two brothers that are killed, a brother and a cousin, a brother, cousin, and an uncle out of the same family. It's just like it's the regular, man. It's the norm in our society.
People are numb to it, you know, and
Exactly.
even like social media, like you'll see somebody put rest in peace, such and such, and it's like, I'm gonna keep it real. Like my timeline, anytime I see somebody posting a picture of somebody else, I get nervous until I read the caption because it normally follows up with that, you know, unfortunate situation where you're saying rest in peace because, you know. Yeah, there is illnesses that take people out. There is other situations, car accidents. But for the most part, what we experience and what we hear is violence.
And
right?
ourselves taking ourselves out. We just pretty much
And I'll tell you the truth, man. Like, ideally, in a world, you know, in a perfect world, we would want everybody to get along. And we understand there's gonna be moments where
That will never
people,
happen.
that like.
We can try our best though.
Yeah, like we can minimize it. We can find ways to kind of like,
yeah.
but there's always gonna be domino effects in people's lives that are gonna trigger these situations to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, the only way we can kind of change the way of thinking towards those things and not accepting those, at least in our area, is the kids, man. It's the little kids. Like when you think about it, it's the reason why some churches just focus on kids because they know that this generation is already has traumas that's gonna take a lot of time to change.
Exactly.
You know, and but with these kids that are just coming up,
mold them as sponges.
yes, exactly. So you can instill these right behaviors and habits and traditions to the new generation. Then hopefully, maybe when we won't be around to see it, but hopefully our kids would be able to live in a better environment. Absolutely. Or be able to not have to live in a place where there's the hood and then the suburbs, where everybody has an equal living opportunity. And hey, you know, that sounds unrealistic to a lot of people because of what we've seen since we're kids. Yeah. Our grandparents,
it's an uphill battle, man. Like, think about it. We living in the hood, but when we try to save one kid, two more kids go out there and you know what I mean.
They get influenced by many other things. You know, their neighborhood, like we said earlier, music sometimes. You know, and it's funny now because I look at it like this, right? Before I looked at music as people from the hood talking about their environment, but also talking about how they want to get out. Now you see kids that have never been in the hood trying to go to the hood because of social media. Like it's like an amusement park. Like no, bro, like your life is really at stake out here. Like you're bugging. Like there's people out here that don't want to be here. They just have these cards that they're dealing with that they have to be around this. It's not a trend. Yes, we embrace our environment sometimes because you know you're not gonna live your life kind of complaining about where you're at. You're gonna embrace it. There's certain cultures that we take on.
A lot of these people, You know, when they
Yeah.
get famous and they from the hood and stuff like that, they try to buy the most expensive things, the clothes, the cars, on the outside to make up what they lack on the inside.
Absolutely.
You know, because
Absolutely.
like I said, we're
Preach
born
that.
in a world where it's like we're taught to hate ourselves, hate our culture, hate our features, hate what we look like. You know, so we're lacking a lot growing up, man. And once you start transforming your mind, liberating your mind, and start loving yourself, loving your culture, loving your features, it's something that consumes you, and you just want to spread that energy all around you. And one of the ways that my organization actually combats self-hate and violence in our community and things of that nature is we have a greeting. It's where if I say I am, every time I see you, right? Let's say we just walked in the park, or whatever, and I see you. I say I am because you are. You say you are because I am. And what that means is what you do affects me, what I do affects you. We are one. We are representations of each other. We share image, we share reflection, right? If I'm a mirror of you and you're a reflection of me and I shoot you, what I just do?
Shoot yourself.
I just shot myself. If there's no more seeds, there's no more plants. If there's no more plants, that's extinction. How to kill a nation. No knowledge of self, no self-image, no self-identity, so there'll be no self-preservation. So he shoots himself because he hates himself, the race itself, enough to erase itself.
That's your bio. That's deep.
Exactly. Now the question is, would you kill a world to save yourself? No, because that'll be killing yourself. But to understand that your enemy will kill a world and himself before you see you on top of the shelf will solidify your health. If you don't know who your enemy is, you're floating without a paddle. If you don't know who your enemy is, you already lost a battle. Know thyself as I know thy enemy. Because if I don't know thyself, I am my own worst enemy.
Yeah, I gotta replay that.
Yeah.
You guys gotta
replay that.
replay that because it's fat. No, man, listen,
Yo.
you said a lot. That was a heavy message
Heavy
right there that you
message,
delivered. Like, people gotta sit down and dissect that because,
It's like a spoken word right there.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that was powerful.
And I wrote that while I was down, when I couldn't walk, bro. Just trying to find myself, trying to find something to hold on to, man. Because it's like we born at such a disadvantage, It's just the poverty, the drugs, the guns. Just there's no light sometimes, man. You're trying to look for it, but you just can't find it. And when you do, man, you just try your best to climb that ladder and just keep on absorbing as much knowledge as you can about yourself, because it's just like, dang, I just went through a mental awakening. They told me that Christopher Columbus discovered America. He didn't. Amerigo Vespucci, whatever his name is, came to America. He went to the Indies or whatever, Virgin Islands, or, you learn that, that were all from Africa, and the Africans were actually kings, not slaves. And slavery did happen, but way before that, Africans were running the world up until about the 1300s or something crazy shit like that. And you like, damn, for real?
Yeah.
Mansa Musa. You learn about the Egyptians and how they created medicine, literacy, mathematics. The Sphinx, and you learn how there are black faces all over the world, how every single nationality, culture, heritage, ethnicity originated within black culture.
Yeah.
Stemmed from Africa, Dominicans, Hispaniola, like all black people. Like you just learn, like you like, what the hell? I thought this was a white world. Like you like, damn, I thought, because they brainwash you with their Eurocentric philosophies, and they turn white people against black people against white people, and black people against black people, and white people against white people. So it's like when you learn this stuff, you're like, damn, I almost died for what? My friends have been murdered for what? My friends are going to jail for what? For something that they instilled in me to enslave myself and kill myself. Can nobody write out my life and I live it how they say it? I'm my own man with my own thoughts. I think for myself. Like, it's crazy, bro. Like people are dying, bro. I almost died for something that they gave me to destroy myself, bro. Like, that's what gave me the passion I got to do what I do, man. It's no going back from that. You done put my mom through hell. The system, society put my moms through hell. So I'm going to go as hard as I can to flip that script, to change that narrative, period. That's just how I feel.
It's a marathon. It's like
Nipsey, marathon
Man.
continues, man.
I always, now more than ever, I relate to that man. Like, you know, what you're speaking, it's a reflection of him as well. You know, like,
Absolutely.
we got to look at it like, you know, we embrace him. You know, he was in LA. You're here in Patterson. You're here in Jersey. You know what I mean? Like, we got to embrace you. Somebody like you that can have that passion because of the cause behind it. You know,
Right.
you were affected and you didn't let that take you in a different direction. You maybe you didn't turn, you know, to the right lane right away,
Yeah.
but it started shifting
Spark.
and sparking something in inside of you, because that moment you had to for yourself to think. Because the thing is that you were probably out in the world, you know, in the hood living and you know, just moving around. The moment you had to stay still and catch up to your thoughts and reflect on your life, you start realizing that, yo, there's really no other, there's really a dead end at this point right here. You know, and there's a lot of people that don't know they're running into a dead end until they have that moment where, unfortunately, some people learn when they go to jail. You know, and not too many people get out of jail.
Facts.
You know, so we talked about this on the last on our episode that's gonna come out on Sunday. That came out on Sunday, so people listening to this, it will be Monday. But we talked about learning from other people's mistakes without making them yourself. You know,
Facts.
like
Facts.
you're a walking testimony that you was there. You know, you had to go through these things. It's not fun. You know, some people want to go out here and try to be down, and you're gonna get laid down. Like it's that lifestyle and it's that real. So, you know, I applaud you for the things that you're doing and things that you stand for, because not so many people have the courage to go against the mass.
Yeah.
Because that, you know, like right now what you're doing is going against what's trending. You know, some people claim to say, you know, they're woke, like Ralphie have said, like these woke people, but they're not walking out here. You know, like they're woke in their home. You're out here, you know, moving around. You're out here, you know, doing the things. You're not just reposting something on Instagram and saying, hey, you know, God bless these communities. Hope you guys, you know, figure it out. You're out here trying to figure it out. You know, like there's a big difference, yo. And I think that people got to look at that and stop and get out of the, you know, virtual reality of, you know, social media, and realize that there's a whole world out there. There's a whole world around you. And the only way that can change is if you go out into that world and start moving people or start doing something to shift the way people think, man.
Unity begins with you. That's one of our slogans.
Oh, you.
Like, literally,
That's it.
unity begins
You.
with you. The letter U.
Literally.
So you have to be the change you want to see in the world before you can change the world.
You had to go through.
know.
You had to go through a real dark moment in order for you to see at least a ray of light. And now you caught that light, and you are putting it at other people, which is the people in the neighborhood, the people who need it the most. Because I feel like Patterson needs this. You know, the
Absolutely.
neighborhoods, like, you know, the urban areas like Patterson, Passaic, you know, all of us. I feel like in neighborhoods like this, we need lights like you, because we don't get that from outsiders. And many times, like, people trying to make the community better, but they don't understand, like you said, and Chico said too. It starts from the kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it starts by showing love and spreading love and sharing unity. You know what I mean? That's very important, and we don't do that. People outsiders try to come into the neighborhood and say, we're going to make the neighborhood better by fixing your streets. We're going to make your neighborhood better by making houses. But I'm like, yo, you got
By
to
putting cops in every
put
corner.
more cops in every corner. You think that,
And
putting-
gentrifying the neighborhood.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much oppressing people. You think about oppressing people like that, trying to keep people on, like, lock and disciplined. You think without no reason. You think that's going to make a real difference?
Can I interject what you
Yeah,
just
go
said,
ahead.
because it goes hand in hand. Let's just look at what's going on right now. They put a new I think a curfew or law, a bill for Patterson about noise. The cops are gonna come and
that
basically
music.
control music. I'm like, what does that have to do with what is going on?
Yeah, that pissed me off a little bit. I
I
mean, I
was like-
get it, loud music, but that has nothing to do.
Bro.
This is the problem.
With the
This-
predicaments,
yeah.
with how we living, with the poverty. What does that have to do with
It-
kids not having resources, not having clean clothes, like not having no food to eat, their parents not having jobs? Like, what does that have to do? Music?
I was
They
puzzled,
invested
bro.
money in the police.
I was
That's all they care
puzzled.
about. The police system.
Because they're probably gonna give citations and tickets for it, so it's
Yeah.
probably gonna bring in
they're gonna
some
some
money.
money. They're trying to drain us out. They're trying to really.
And they know that inner
Squeeze
cities
us.
thrive off of music. It's a let's be real. Music gives you a good feeling. It can get you out of the mindset of you're sad or mindset of you're unhappy. It gives you a thought outside of your own.
Yeah.
And
This is
even
positive
that
music.
is being controlled. Like, hey, you can't be bumping too loud out here. We're gonna get you for your money.
Yeah.
So the reason why I bring that up is to join what you're saying. There's a bigger issue at hand, and I think that when you have a purpose that's or a dream or let's say a purpose bigger than yourself, there's no moment to stop. Like, there's no moment to feel pity. There's no moment to, because you got to think about it. That's a big ass task that you guys are taking on, but how does that affect the kids right now? Like, how have you seen the kids like shift like their lives? Like, I know there's a lot of kids that don't get to hear, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Yo, you got talent, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you can be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids don't hear that? Is a lot more than kids are hearing, hey, man, you got something in you.
And my thing is, what I understand is what we understand is that what we competing against, bro. You're competing against drug dealers and gangbangers. Not only drug dealers and gangbangers, but you're competing with a system, right? That wants to oppress you. Mm-hmm. So we are competing with them and ourselves. Now, what can you give these kids that the drug dealers and the gangbangers can't give them? They making bands on the block, bands, driving the nicest cars. All the girls with them. It's lit out there. Summertime, it's a block party every day.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I want to live like that. What can you give these kids to change that narrative, right? That's what you're competing against. What resources can you give them? What incentives can you give them? Where can you take them? Field trips, basketball tournaments, just different things, educational planning, tutoring, and just make everything fun, though, man. Just make everything fun. Make the experience. Can you give them a family, right? Because that's what the gangs really kind of pushing emphasis on. We a family now, right? In a negative light. So can you build that foundation, that structure for them, to where they won't go to the other side? Like, we have to work harder than the streets is there 24/7.
Yeah.
It's like Banana King. It don't close.
Word.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yo.
Oh, they when there's nothing else open.
yeah, the hood is like Banana King. It don't close. So obviously we gotta sleep though. We ain't selling drugs. We got 9 to 5s. So what can you do in 12 hours or 14 hours to really change the narrative in these communities with these kids? What can you offer them? What can you give them? If you ain't working as hard as these drug dealers are twice as hard as them, how you gonna win them over? Like, we got to understand certain things like that, man. Like, we need the grant money and the donations to be able to do these things with the kids and offer them something better than what the streets offering them. That's when it comes to, man, competing, man. You got to win that competition.
So you're pretty much competing against the streets. Because the streets, you're right. You made a good point there. And I heard that many times before that, gangs, like, for example, and those type of crowds are so big and such is because of that, because people are looking for love, or everybody in that group, they're looking for love, they're looking for loyalty, they're looking for support. And they're getting it from those people.
Exactly.
Doing the wrong. I'm not here to say what's right or what's wrong, but doing things that don't serve them, don't serve their purpose in life. So it's like, it's powerful that you mentioned that, because you are creating pretty much a gang, a positive gang, unity, in the sense of that you're bringing people into doing things that do serve them instead of things that hurt them and the community as well. You know what I mean? You're actually bringing. I feel like somebody like you is what like a city like Patterson needs in charge, in a sense of like you came from it, you seen it, you understand it, you understand the psychology behind it, and you understand where to start, where to plant the seeds in order for you to grow some good plants, good trees in the city, get that good fruit. Exactly. So, but a lot of people from outside, I feel like a lot of outsiders are the one who come into Patterson trying to fix it, trying to change it, trying to do this and the third, and
For
trying to
their
enforce all
convenience.
these rules for their own convenience as well. Yeah, and they're actually they invest more money in the police system than they do into the town, if I'm not mistaken.
Or the housings,
Oh,
they
yeah, the
create
housings,
housings, Section 8. Like, you got to think about it, like, these housing programs, like, how much money do you think people make off of the projects?
A lot.
Who makes that money? Who, you know what I mean? Like, who created these things? Like, what is the purpose? Or is it really to help low income households, or is it really
Talking about
to
that.
take money out of the government, funnel money from the government and
Isn't-
cheat people out?
Isn't people from outside buying houses in here in Patterson, like outsiders? Not
yes,
even their own.
There's many people buying houses
They're coming
from
from
outside.
outside.
They're big bidders.
Yeah.
So as soon as houses go out in the market, they put big money up. They buy out. They basically bid out anybody from their own city.
Yeah.
And what they do is they make them Section A homes. They milk them. They milk the shit out of these houses and the system, man. What up? Jump outs in the building.
What's
What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, with that sharp cut.
Hey,
My
what's going
God.
on, brother? What's going on?
Fresca, chancleta.
You know.
man.
So,
But yeah.
it's crazy, like, it's all a monopoly, and
It is.
to point out what you're saying, it does take money, man. It takes money to be able to compete with all of that.
Definitely, man. And one of the biggest things we stand for in the Unity organization is group economics, bro. Like, it's really simple math. Let's say it's 100,000 blacks and Latinos, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's all the same thing, honestly.
Yeah.
I put it
Yeah.
into
No, I'm just saying,
black
yeah, I put it
people,
more than
like,
one. I do the
that's
same
just
way.
how I see it, man. Hispaniola, we know the history. We don't got to
Yeah.
go down
Yeah.
into it. The reason why we're different complexions is through rape of the Europeans, et cetera, et cetera. If it wasn't for that, then we're all
Be
basically
the same.
Pretty much.
look the same for the
Yeah.
most part,
Yeah.
But anyway, let's say it's 100,000 of us in America, right? $10 each person, that's $1 million, right? $20, that's $2 million, right?
math ain't that great.
100,
I'm not gonna keep up with you.
100, that's $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
$10 million, $100 from 100,000, right? So now we go to 1,000. That's $100 million. $1,000 from 100,000 different people. $100 million. So at some point, we gotta look ourselves in the mirror and say, like, what do we really want for ourselves? Right? And that's only 1,000. We could go to 10 bands and we could go to the billions and, like, come on, man. We could do it if we really want to, man.
Yeah.
Group economics. Gather our resources. Like, what we really want. Do we love this oppression? Do we love being... I mean, obviously, we're mentally enslaved. We're indoctrinated. We're institutionalized. And this is over 500 years in the making. So it ain't going to end in 5 days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, like it takes a
So
long
it's
time.
not that simple
It's
as I'm
not.
saying.
It's
but
habits.
I'm just
and
saying, like, I feel like simplicity is genius, though.
It is.
It's all the big companies thrive off of simplicity. They make it, like how you broke it down, right? Somebody might have not been aware and be like, "Damn, that's true," but it's like I like something J. Cole said once. He said, and I know he took it from somebody else, but I'm referencing him. He said, I believe it was in the song after False Prophets where he talked about the abused become the abuser.
Hurt people hurt other
Hurt people. Yeah. So you got to think about it, like,
Facts.
a lot of people will look at that and say, well, how can I trust him with that kind of money or them with that kind of money? I might as well keep it to myself. And it's the crab in the barrel mentality, right? Where people just let go of the ego and say, yo, this money is going towards this. Let's all get in. Because you start falling in love with the idea of, well, what I could do with 100 million for myself or less or 50,000, right? So you'll never get to 50,000 if you're not willing to get in the group and come up with the money. It's like when I talk to Rafi about group investing in real estate, right? We say, yo, if we start group investing into these houses and we start monopolizing the way that people are doing, then we can get in the game. We can have a say in things. But until then, we're just in the bench trying to figure it out. So like sometimes it's hard to see yourself with that kind of money, but it's like you said, it's simple. Break it down into numbers, make it tangible. How do we break it down? Well, let's start off with this much, $10K. What can we do with $10,000? Invest it. Let's flip it. Let's make money, so then eventually we can make that money benefit the masses and the people we want to impact.
Liabilities.
Yeah.
Assets versus liabilities.
And those are the things that we
weigh
gotta
'em
start
out.
teaching the youth, like the
Yeah,
kids,
definitely.
because we didn't know that stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't learn that in school either.
No,
Like if you
school
think about
doesn't
the
wanna teach
school
us-
system,
We
doesn't
think
want
about
to
the
teach us
school
that.
system doesn't want to teach us that.
No,
Especially in the
man.
city. They don't want to let us know about that kind of stuff. They
Nah,
want to
man,
keep us there.
They want
It's
you
gonna-
to be a
slaves gonna
robot.
be the masses now. We don't
Yeah.
want that. You know what
No.
I mean, we need somebody picking cotton, right?
and that's real, like, and that's real, man,
For
like,
real. Hey,
bro.
So
Yeah.
I mean, so far, you've been doing this for how long?
So, Unity started. It's gonna be about a year in December.
Okay.
But
Nice.
me personally, just going hard with the movement, and one of the most beautiful things I've been doing this since I was 19. Just to answer that question though,
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful things is like when I was 19 coming up, because it's been 5 years. I always say to myself like, dang yo, I'm going so hard. I know the hood see what I'm doing. I know the community see what I'm doing. I know the churches see what I'm doing. I know the mosque see what I'm doing. I know all these people see what I'm doing, and like, oh, it's good. Like why nobody trying to help me? Like. And I'm glad that I kept on going and I never had no negative thoughts like, yo, forget this, man. Like, because the whole time it was bearing fruit. The whole time it was sowing seeds. The whole time it was getting in the nutrients and the vitamins it needed to grow. I just had to be patient, and that family was going to show up. So it's dope, man, to just think about like, yo, when you was 19, you was dolo. And then when, then me and EJ, my cousin, started rocking, and we was going hard.
What were you
But
doing
then
by yourself when you were by yourself? What were you doing? Like,
just the spoken word, like the spoken
Yeah.
word. I
These
wrote that
gifts.
when I couldn't walk. I wrote a lot of things when I couldn't walk, man. Just going to New York weekend, New York, going to Bowie Poetry.
oh, New York
going
weekend
to
is nice. Yeah.
spots, going to spots in Newark, just spitting, and letting people feel my pain and just trying to project that energy on them from, starting from the bottom, just trying to make it to the top, man, when it comes to being black in this society, man. Like, because, based on our complexion, they treat us like dirt, so you got to climb your way up to that flower. You got to climb your way up to blossom. That water, in the suburbs, they get in that water day to day. Somebody sprinkling that on them. With us,
We
it's
get
like
that.
when we born, we got to spit. And like, the saliva going to be whatever to groom this seed. Like, you know what I mean? That's the only water we got. 'Cause there ain't no rain coming on us. Ain't nobody pouring no water on us. So we got to just start formulating saliva to make ourselves grow. And, that's going to be our substance to get the soil right, get the dirt right. You know what I mean? So we can bear fruit.
Little by little, people just started gravitating to you. Or?
Little by little, man, which is a blessing, man. So never give up on your dreams, man. And we ain't even make it nowhere yet, honestly. I mean, I feel like we are doing a lot, and
You
a lot of
guys are
people are
definitely doing a lot,
impacted.
yeah.
But what we have is priceless. I don't care what nobody say. People could say that, we're not big or this, we're not that. But, like, we really have a real family. Like, my man's LO just pulled up, man. Like, and this is what we do. Like, we've been chilling. Like I told y'all before you got here.
Yeah.
Every weekend for 2 months straight, bro. Complete strangers, bro, that became family. It's priceless. You can't beat that. You can't put a number on that. You can't put a price on it.
And that's how you create something that's unbreakable and something for the other people to follow. Like, one thing that's important, and before we close out, man caves, let's just call it that, man groups are needed. Like you said, the females, the ladies, definitely need to empower them always. You need to make sure we
Shout out
protect
to all
them.
the women. I love
Yeah,
Audre
yeah,
Lorde.
absolutely.
You
But
can't use the master's tool to dismantle the master's house. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Nah,
Hey,
nah,
that's-
nah, nah.
hey,
Right there. I love that.
that's fire. And to piggyback off that, we can't protect them with traumas that are holding us back. Like,
Yep.
we're hurting them as well. So it's important that you guys are doing what you're doing, because you're creating a unity between men and a place where men can be themselves as well and speak up upon these things and find ways to channel those emotions in a different way versus going to violence, versus going to alcohol, addictions, etc., etc. Like those things are important, you know. And it's great that you guys are building that within yourselves, because the only way you're going to be able to teach that to other people is if you guys have that.
Facts.
You know, like you guys have to have that unity between each other. Like y'all gotta know y'all got each other's back no matter what. So then those kids, when they see that, they like, this is better than a gang.
Facts.
This is real family.
This is
You know what I mean? Like
real family.
we're they're pushing me towards my future. You know, not towards a dead end.
Everybody needs someone to lean on. Gotta get up, don't wanna be the one they sleep on. Hey, everybody wanna get the green on. Wanna get but you gotta get up. You gotta get up. Never put your head down, you gotta live up. You gotta get up. Get up, so you gotta get up. You can't sit down. Best out. Show 'em what you all about, can't rest out. Show 'em you got all the clout when you step out. Hey, send you the best out. Show 'em what you all about, so